At the inception of the Muhammadu Buhari's administration in 2015, it was decided that the administration will revamp the country's economy through massive infrastructural development. This it has achieved in various sectors, but one of the most noticeable areas is in road development, where several hundreds of kilometers have been constructed nationwide, and work on roads is ongoing in all states of the Federation. The Honorable Minister of Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola SAN, had promised Nigerians that his ministry will not only construct or reconstruct federal roads, but will furnish the roads with appropriate road furniture like milestones or road signage, lane markings, etc. This, he noted, will help Nigerians plan their journey better and know exactly where they can find what they may need during a journey. He explained that this is standard international practice to help even a visitor navigate his way around the country with the help of a map.
The federal roads are designed to global international standards. They've always been. The fact that we have not in the past executed what is called the road furniture component of the contract doesn't mean that they were not always there. As you probably know, before this administration under President Buhari, the funding even for road construction was such a miserly sum of about 18 billion. So perhaps we couldn't even get to completing roads, not to talk of then thinking of installing the furniture, the lane marking, and the road signage, which is where we seek to be now, start completing some of the roads that have been under construction for a bit. That's one reason. Secondly, it's to help commuters get a sense of how far they have to travel when they set out on their journeys, how far they have come, and to help them time rest as may be, to help them time fueling as may be, to help them get a measure of whether it is important to continue for that day or to find a place to spend the night. Of course, going forward, rest houses as part of our road support systems will develop.
This is a promise kept, as in every geopolitical zone in the country, Nigerians are beginning to see not only good federal roads, but roads that have clear lane markings and road signs. This, to a great extent, has helped road users in so many ways. Journey time has reduced as we now have better federal roads, and time spent asking for directions is saved, as clear signage of federal roads has made it easy for one to find his way around. These factors have greatly impacted positively on travel experience, which has improved.
If you are from Ilori, you see somebody, you are in Ilori. If you are in Ogomosho, you know you are in Ogomosho. If you are in Niger, you know you are from Niger, where you dey. You show the way where you dey. As in the line, it make people to stay where they stay on their own line. They don't jump to another line. They are doing well. The government is trying well.
I cannot lose because it shows all the description where I'm heading to. It's very, very good. I like it. Not only for me, only for visitors coming through the state. No need for them to stop to question anybody where they are going, because the description is always there. It's very good. Where if they can install it everywhere, it's very good.
Thank God that we have road signs. When you get to the junction, to the sign, you will know that this is a sharp bending. They have to slow down your speed limit. Then in terms of the goodness of the road, at least this very way is one of the best roads you have in this area.
Wannan aiki gaskiya mun gode kuma gashi nan yana yin kyau, musamman wannan sabuwar da aka tsara aka sa. Duk yanda mutum ya zo ba zai iya ruduwa ba, ya san cewa daga gari kaza zuwa kaza saura kilomita kaza, abun ba zai bashi wahala ba. Gaskiya ne, duk wanda ya iya diba sabuwar, duk direban da zai karanta ya diba ya gani, gaskiya wannan abu an yi shi cikin tsari. Gaskiya mun gode yayi daidai.
About the road sign of the road is very, very okay, because it's good for the stranger that are passing on the road so that they can know the conditions and where they are going to. And as for the aspect of the condition of the road, it's very, very okay now, more than ever before.
It's going to enhance information for the road users. People will now know exactly where they are. People will be able to determine the time at which they are supposed to get to the next destination. And generally, it enhances safety on the road.
As it is commonplace with the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing and their approach towards executing contracts like this, a mutually beneficial payment plan has been reached between the ministry and contractors. While several of these contracts have been concluded, some are still ongoing, while others have just been awarded and work will start soon. These contracts have affected the financial profile of Nigerians from communities around where they are sited. Quite a number of them have been employed by contractors, and several other small businesses have sprung up due to the presence of workers on site.
There are quite a lot of advantages as spinners that we get from this kind of thing. First and foremost, doing the job, of course, there's a lot of stimulation. We stimulate the economy too, and we're employing people, who also be of economic benefits to their families. But on the societal level, I think the great thing is that, it's always great to drive along the road and you can be able to predict exactly your direction or how long you are from your destination. For every motorist, it's an exciting opportunity to know that, look, I'm 25 kilometers and 30 kilometers away from my final destination. So a lot of people will have this information. These are very basic international standards that are required for motorable roads. And we thank God that the Federal Ministry of Works has taken the bold step to signpost or put this kind of road signages too on our road. So we think on the societal level it's a lot of advantage for the motorists, for those driving, and there's a lot of advantage. And of course for the economic purpose, it stimulates the economy, generates jobs, and puts more funds within the system.
These contracts are executed under close supervision of the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing through their controllers of works in the benefiting states. This is to ensure that the best quality work is delivered and the contracts are executed according to specifications. They also ensure that contractors engage workers from the surrounding communities and that jobs are created through these projects.
When the contractor was working, the contractor engaged people from the community for the local labor. Both iron benders and concrete mixers, masons, and all of that were engaged from the community. With so many of them being awarded, you can see that the impact can be enormous, because on this Lagos road, for example, we have this one for six signs on the left-hand side. That's Benin bound, and then you have other ones for the Lagos bound, and then on Auchi from Okene to Benin, you have 3 different contractors working on those ones. So it's quite a lot of work going on, and the impact on the economy is there because money is exchanging hands.
There are 2 phases of them. The first phase was awarded in June last year, and that has to do with road marking of about 60 kilometers of the part of the road that has been substantially completed, and road signs of about 650 numbers to be installed at the appropriate locations along the road. Then the second phase of the contract was awarded in January this year, and that has to do with the installation of 12 number big directional signs. And both of them has been substantially completed.
Each of these, with the artisans, not less than 43 people
were employed. And now we're having 36 lots. So if you multiply, 36 by 43, you are getting something like 1,908 direct and indirect employment. We call some of these things informative signs. It gives you information. Some of them are, these road signs are danger signs. It makes you to avoid dangers. Where you know what is, okay, you are getting towards a bend, like that, you are getting towards an interchange, you are getting towards a junction. It makes you to slow down. So it makes you to avoid a lot of dangers. It gives you information to the strangers. It gives you, it gives you guidance. And generally, it makes you to know where you are going to.
Materials for signage and paints for the lane markings are all locally produced to reduce cost and to create jobs for Nigerians. The Federal Road Safety Corps factory in Abuja produced all the road signs used on our roads, making these projects 100% Nigerian.
Well, to the extent that all of us worked together to design the road signage, I will never be satisfied with anything I do. There's always room for improvement. But what we have done differently is that from the different sizes, different quality, with standardized size, with standardized quality of print, we're producing from largely one place at the moment, which is the FRSC workshop in Abuja. So all of the people who have to install have to procure from a place where there is uniformity of standard. So we've designed not only the poles, but also the depth of the plinth for installation. So there's a complete manual, which is what we've done. Of course, as you produce things in life, you must also learn from what you have done. We expect that from our research and development unit, we will still need to modify some things to maybe be much more cost effective, maybe put some anti-theft measures in, because we see that some of the road signs are already being cut off and taken away. So in that sense, I will never be satisfied until we have near perfection.
For uniformity, I procure from the Federal Road Safety Commission. They have a standard that is 1.8 meters by 2. It's designed such that it will be visible to motorists. Then they have to be installed on 2.5 meter poles so that they can be on the height that is clear to the drivers. And then in the ground, they are about 800 millimeters embedded in the ground. They are seated on weather plates and then reinforced with reinforced concrete inside the ground. So that's the specification of what we are doing.
Myself, we are on ground to do the supervision. And we are sure that the road signs were gotten from the road safety as directed by our headquarters. And the road marking materials were tested and certified to be as specified by the contract.
Part of the advantages is for them to at least have an idea of how long it will take them to get to the next destination, and then of course to know the towns along that route. So when somebody is coming in out of Lagos and you are going towards Ibadan, Ogbomoso, down towards Lenia, you have an idea of the length you are supposed to cover. And similarly, for those coming down, when you are coming into Lagos, and you are coming in from a place as far as a lorry, or you are coming from, you have an idea of how many kilometers or what length you will still need to get into Lagos, and of course to get into Apapa in Lagos. So it helps travelers to plan their movements.
The importance of road signages on our roads, federal highways particularly, cannot be overemphasized. Like this particular one we are talking about now, this road is one of the arterial roads that we have in the country, running from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. And what these signages, simply do on our road is to guide motorists. You won't believe it that somebody can take off from Port Harcourt without stopping to ask, and end up in Maiduguri. And even from Port Harcourt, you will have, an idea of the distances of the major towns ahead. If he needs to rest, if he needs to break his journey, and it will assist also to plan his travel, time. So it's a welcome, development. We've not really had it this good.
The road signages again is also to aid the direction by visual. Visual means you want to aid your direction to know what. By visual means you want to, you yourself, you want to know what you have covered from a particular section of the road. Maybe you are coming from Ibadan, you are going to Lagos, and you want to see your whole direction at a particular point. That is one of the functions of the signage on our road. Another function of the signage on the road again is to give reflection again. At the night, it gives you reflection, and also give you the information direction again on where you are going.
Road construction or rehabilitation takes time and effort, even if all the money needed is available. Nigerians should be rest assured that as time goes on, more federal roads will be constructed or rehabilitated with appropriate lane markings and road furniture. This will translate to better traveling experience for everyone. It behoves on us, therefore, to do our part by ensuring that we stop those practices that can lead to rapid deterioration of our federal roads.
I continue to say that the statement of commitment made by President Buhari on June 12 to attempt to lift 100 million people out of poverty over a decade is the most ambitious, most audacious, visionary commitment of any Nigerian leader in an entire generation. And it doesn't matter that Buhari will live in another 3.5 years. It sets Nigeria on a purposeful target. I can only equate it to statements similar to this by John Kennedy to say, I'm taking my people to the moon in 5 years' time. He wasn't an astronaut, he wasn't a renowned engineer, but he set the nation on a path to greatness. And this is something only similar to that in terms of saying, let me get all of the most vulnerable people of Nigeria out of poverty. And then we'll go to the next issue. And to that extent, all of us, ministries, departments, and agencies have an important role to play there. And these are now subjects of discussion in our monthly management meetings in the Ministry of Works and Housing, at our retreats, in our cluster meetings about what we can do differently to make this happen. So road signages are only a part of it because they create secondary employment. Construction companies are not necessarily interested in road signages. So they are subcontracts to small businesses who constitute a very, very important part of our economy. MSMEs represent about 49% of the GDP contribution of Nigeria. So from those who sell the special paper you use for the sign, to those who sell the plates, to those who work in the FRSC factory to print and produce them, everybody in that value chain gets a benefit to earn something, to sell something, or to move something. To those who will transport them to the site, and to those who will be employed just in the manual labor, first of installing the poles and the plinth before the plate is screwed on. So it's a very, very important part of redistributing wealth and creating employment and creating opportunity. Further down the line, as our maintenance program deepens, these things don't last forever, so they need to be maintained, boats need to be changed, and so on and so forth. And so it's another sub-economy in the construction industry that we have woken up that will employ thousands of people. Even the location where those signs are placed are not accidental. We set up groups of people to actually go on a study and examine and determine the exact GPS location. So on those places where we tell you are certain kilometers away from a particular town, we are exact to the centimeter. So that was part of it. So those people were also paid before you come to install the sign.
The first term of the Muhammadu Buhari administration was a time of massive road construction in Nigeria at a scale that this country had not experienced for a very long time. Today, journey time experience is much better than it was some years ago, and from all indications, this administration will intensify financing construction of more federal roads in every nook and cranny of Nigeria.
Well, it's going to cover all of Nigeria, let me say that. But we have started with those roads where substantial progress in construction has been undertaken. There are roads that are just starting, there are roads that have not reached halfway, there are roads that are nearing completion. So most of those roads where you see them now are those roads where we have made some progress. Eventually, we will cover the entire country. Apart from distance signs about how many kilometers to what destination, we are also installing town and village signs, naming towns and villages so that you know where you are, so you don't just drive past. So even if you are in any need for any difficulty and you need help, it is also then helpful to be able to tell us, I am at this town, or I just passed that town, or I am at kilometers so, and so. And that is helpful to get help to you. And this is part of also the value that the government puts on human life. So it's not just about arms and security. It's also about small things like this that help all of the rescue and recovery architecture, ambulances, emergency, life support come together, because if we can't find you, we can't help you.
This is an indication of an administration that places high premium on promises made to the people.